if I have to think, what are the main lessons that I learned out of that? Number one, a business does not exist to make money. It doesn't. Knowledge is not power. There's the knowledge, smoking kills.
Yes.
The power is implementing the knowledge.
Dr. Pepe Marais is the co-founder and chief creative officer of the multi-award-winning brand and communications agency, Joe Public. They are one of the most successful agencies in South Africa, employing well over 220 people and servicing over 50 clients. Today, we are at Joe Public to have a chat to him about Purpose-Driven Entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us, and welcome.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. So I want us to just go back to the beginning, right? I mean, we are here at Joe Public. You guys have built all of this, but it did not start here, right? I want to take it back to just the beginning of your story. You've written this incredible book, right? And part of the things that you talk about in your book is your childhood, and that you started working at the age of 12, and your first job was delivering newspapers, and you also used to work at a cafe on weekends. What did that experience just teach you about work ethic and just the beginning of your entrepreneurship journey? Who are the people that you looked up to as that little 12-year-old boy?
So just to be clear, you mentioned you built this business. I think the first insight on this business, there's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes a village to raise a business. So by no means did I build this business. I started this business with two partners. The one partner departed, the other one stayed away. It's been my business partner for 27 years, almost like my second wife. Although I always say I'm the wife, because the wife's always right.
Yes.
So that's our little joke between us. And then we've got quite a few other leaders in the business that's part of building the business now.
Yes.
To the question of, I was forced to start working young.
Yes.
So that was not done by my own initiative. It was, I had a single mum. She was a teacher.
Yes.
Very small salary.
Yes.
3 children.
Yes.
So raising 3 children with a teacher's salary. So I didn't have the means to have what my friends had.
Yes.
So I started working very young. And when I look back, it's one of my greatest blessings, because I don't think if I did not work 6-7 days a week from the age of 12.
Yeah.
So I'll deliver newspapers Mondays to Saturdays.
Yes.
Saturdays work in a cafe, Sunday work in a cafe. So I was like child labor. But if I didn't do that, I don't believe I would have become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think that early way of being a master of my own destiny and working for my own capital, being able to buy my own things, being able to support my mother financially when she needed money.
Yes.
I always had money.
Yeah.
And that was instrumental in me being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And then you asked who inspired me.
Yes.
I was very, very inspired by my one late uncle.
Yes.
He was also a young man he actually left home at the age of 14 because his parents couldn't afford to feed him. So he only had grade 8. Back then it was called standard 6. And he started working at the age of 14. That's when his entrepreneurial journey started.
Yeah.
And he became an extremely successful entrepreneur. He passed away last year, unfortunately, prematurely. But he definitely inspired me. I used to go and visit him on his farm. He built from scratch an empire over the course of his lifetime.
Yes.
And then my second uncle, also Yut, they both left home at 14 to start their own businesses. So I was inspired by that. So I wanted to leave home at 14 and start working. And my mother was a teacher, so it was not, I must finish matric.
And did you want to go straight into entrepreneurship? Were you thinking at 14, I want to be a business person? What business did you want to start at 14?
No, I didn't know. I would have done anything. So at that stage, like working in a cafe or delivering newspapers, I think if I was allowed to leave, I would have figured something out.
Yeah.
I was making T-shirts. By 18, I was printing T-shirts with designs on them, buying cool drinks and selling them on summer days. So I was making anything I could make. I was playing music for money.
Yes.
So there were lots of things. At 14, I think I would have figured it out, but that wasn't the journey.
Yeah. You had quite a lot going on, right, as a child, and a part of it just being your environment, at home. You have been open about the fact that, your dad battled with alcoholism and your mom had to take care of, 3 children, on her own. So how did that influence the way that you perceive yourself? And is there a way that also, in a way that it influenced your entrepreneurial journey? Was there an influence from that?
Massive. So again, to be very clear, I'm so aware today of my privileges.
Yes.
Being born a white man, that's a privilege. And also, I work in townships today and I still see the poverty in this country. So I can't ever say I really grew up poor.
Yes.
But I grew up with very little means. We hardly ever owned a home. We were moving from house to house. The church sometimes fed us. My father was a complete alcoholic to a really aggressive, bad degree.
Yes.
And he couldn't construct anything positive out of his life. But I think what I learned from my father, he had great manners. It was this weirdest thing, this aggressive alcoholic, but then he had this impeccable manners towards women. So he'd always open the door for my mother. So I learned those things from him. And he was also extremely creative and very musical. But by material means and his own emotional behavior, he was a failure. And then my mother was this extremely hardworking, also just because of the situation.
Yes, yes.
And then I picked up that ethic, that hardworking ethic. And starting to work so young, that went into my DNA.
Yeah.
So I worked 6 to 7 days a week to this day.
Yeah.
But I do it because I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I don't do it because it feels like a chore.
Yeah.
People will say I don't have balance. I don't think if your business and your personal life is so intertwined, I don't think there is a thing called balance.
Called balance, yeah.
I think there's a way of choosing when I do what, and whenever I do it well. So when I do holiday time with my family, I do it with total focus and massive energy and excitement, and I give them a lot. But when I work, I work. I focus and I do my craft with passion and precision.
Yeah. And you're a firstborn child, right?
Second.
Oh, you're a second-born.
I'm middle.
You're the middle. I'm also a middle child.
Hamburger.
Yeah. There's something to it as well, just with like ambition and drive and yeah.
It's always, I don't think there's any rules. It sort of fluctuates from family to family, household to household. I've got an older sister and a younger sister, and I'm in the middle.
So you're the only boy.
I'm the only boy, so that comes with a whole lot of other things. Good things,
yes,
mostly good things, But then both of them are also extremely hard workers.
Yeah.
So there's something there, which is not. I still look at life and I look at those things as blessings. I don't look at them. Can't ever look at the hard work and go, that's not a blessing.
Yeah.
The ability to really put in the effort
is a blessing.
Well, for entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
If you look at the stats, I think it's in the first 3 years, 1 in 100 companies will make it. Past 3 years. And then those 1 in 100, out of those surviving 1%, only 1% will make it past 10 years. So it's extremely unique to make it as an entrepreneur. It's very, very rare. And I think that effort you need grit.
Yes, absolutely.
Grit. I mean, the 4 pillars of grit is you have to be interested in what you do, like really interested in what you do. Not I'm doing it to make money. You need to be more interested in this thing that you bring, the value. Then you need to practice it to a level that you become best in your industry, because that gives you competitive advantage. You're more likely to survive if you're the best. And then you need hope. So you need to have some form of a vision and a belief and a dream and self-belief.
Yes.
And then you need purpose. You need a greater purpose for your endeavor beyond money and beyond just your product or service.
Yes.
So those are the 4 pillars of grit. And they're quite to live those at the highest level, that's rare.
Absolutely. Not I can receive that and like sort of, understand what you're talking about. I mean, I'm fairly new to entrepreneurship, right? My business is like barely 5 years old. Mm-hmm. So I'm like figuring these things and also just wishing, oh gosh, I wish this was like amplified and I knew this, right? Yeah. Especially the grit part.
Well, so now you're over 3 years.
Yes.
So you're already 1 in 100.
Okay. That's interesting too.
So that should really be like quite a self-motivated to go, yes. Wow, okay, I'm 1%. That's unique.
Yeah.
If you're still in business. And then to be mindful, there's a beautiful saying. It says it takes 17 years to become an overnight success.
Oh, wow.
So me and my founding partner earned less than our peers for 12, 13 years, at least, because everything went back into the business. And the business went bankrupt in between. And we started.
Yeah.
And we only got our first dividend after 13 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that big. So it never stops.
Yeah.
I think this journey of entrepreneurship, that's why it's so important that you get something else out of it than just money. Money is great and it's sustainable, but there's something bigger
that you need. Speaking of you and your partner, you've got an interesting story of how you and Gareth met. I'd like you to just go into a little bit of how you guys met, and how does that lead to let's start a branding communications agency?
So I was very insecure as a child. Very. So when you don't have a male role model, and that gives me a lot of empathy for youth in South Africa.
Yeah.
Who mostly grow up without a dad. That I see in townships. I see it at school level in townships where the young women always outperform the young men, mostly. When I look at the top 20, 18 are women, 2 are men. And I can only assume that it's linked to lack of male mentorship. So I was very insecure at school. I wasn't very good at school. So I got a D in matric. I didn't get a university exemption. I got an A for maths. So I'm very mathematical. And I wasn't good at sport. So all those things play into inner self-confidence.
Yeah.
So not very confident in myself. And then I discovered art. So when I discovered art and I was naturally good at it, that gave me a lot of self-confidence, like a boost. It started to repair my inner struggle with confidence. And once I realized I was really good at something for the first time in my life, so this is age 19, 20, that I realized I'm really good at something for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
Because you get measured at school,
Yes. I think it's your grades, your BC, yes.
My child now, our child, he got 34% average last term. And that's nothing for us because we know what you can achieve when you find what you love. He just hates school. He just doesn't love school. I didn't love school. But the assumption in my mind is, okay, now I'm not good enough. Find art. Suddenly I found what I love. There's a saying that says you can't teach a fish to climb a tree. The school is the same thing.
Oh, wow.
The school did not cater for my ability. I was measured on abilities that I wasn't interested in. And I also know that now because now I've gone through academia with the right level of focus and passion for what I want to do, and I aced it. But back at school when I discovered art, and I was so good at it, I put a goal in place to have my own business by 30. And I knew that business will be in this field. So that's where the little nugget or the little seed was planted for Joe Public.
Okay.
It was planted at that turning point from not being good enough to going, hey, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I can do this. And I just had the idea to start a business. And at 29, I knew it's coming, deadline's coming.
Yeah.
And I just went for it.
Yeah.
And that's where I had to find myself a partner.
Yeah.
Because in the creative field, there's always the assumption that the creative guy needs a business guy, which is not always the truth. Because as it turns out, the partner that I found is actually more of a creative guy and I'm more of a business guy. So we complement each other very well because we've got a bit of both. We've got creativity and business in both of us. And I found him in a very, very unique way. So
Yeah.
Very strange way.
In a very strange way that you guys met. Yeah. You had, this was like what I think when you tell the stories, like 1995, you were, what, were you?
Paddle skiing.
Paddle skiing, and you drowned, and he saved your life, but you had never met him and you didn't know who had saved your life. And you had this death experience or a near-death experience. And then years later, you met him and he was telling you a story of how he saved a guy who was paddle skiing, and that guy turned out to be you.
That's a true story. And what's so fascinating, so when you die, so I think why I also have a lot of energy for life is when you really, really come close to death and you don't die, it gives you a huge second lease on life. It gave me. I don't know if you or anyone are making an assumption there, but for me, because I drowned. I mean, I went with that little paddle ski into the harbour wall at the Radisson in Cape Town. Those big doors, those concrete blocks, smashed into it and got trapped under it.
Yeah.
And the thing, and this is why there's an argument at an atheism level, because a lot of people don't believe there's a God.
Yes.
But there's an argument that even the atheist, when you face death, you start calling out to God. That's a fact. That's a empirical research fact. And I went through that. I went through the phase of, okay, and then eventually realizing, and then praying to God, and then that didn't work. And then, and when I woke up, I was picked up by the NSRI, taken by ambulance to hospital.
Yes.
And I never knew there was human intervention.
Yeah.
That was 95, April. And I met my business partner in 1998, January, February.
Yeah.
3 years later. And when he told me the story of saving a guy.
Yes.
Because he said he took the guy from under where the guy was stuck under the door, sir.
Yeah.
Took him out. He said the guy's nose was broken. He was badly concussed. He was knocked out, unconscious. And there was a roll of rubber pipes, and he put the guy on the rubber pipes.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew it was me, because when I woke up, I was on the rubber pipes.
Yes.
Which I didn't know I got onto the rubber pipes.
Yeah.
But I was so concussed, I just never knew. I did think post-event it was an act of God.
Yeah.
Which clearly it was, because Gareth, and based on that, we started this business. So he only had 2 years experience, I had 6 years experience in advertising.
Uh-huh.
Completely premature.
Yeah.
Because in this industry, you mostly found your business at late 30s.
Uh-huh.
Those businesses are more sustainable in our industry. We start these businesses young, they don't sustain.
Yeah.
So we started very young.
So what was the thing when you started in the industry and you said, this is what our value proposition is and this is what we're bringing, to our clients? So that wasn't available there in the advertising industry 100%. At the time. Yeah.
So the thing, a lot of people, I've got something more powerful than it today. And I think it was there unconsciously when you started the business. But there, takeaway advertising.
Yeah.
So we're about to relaunch this year in South Africa now.
Yeah.
So we had this idea of takeaway advertising. So let's menutize advertising. Let's clients pay for our time. They shouldn't. They should pay for our thinking. So let's put our thinking on a menu, rare, medium, and well done.
Uh-huh.
And it was actually rare, medium, and well done. 4 options.
Okay.
4 levels of thinking. Put a price point to each.
Yeah.
And the clients must pay us for it. And this is how we launched Joe Public Takeaway Advertising. And it really was instrumental to us making it through the first year.
Uh-huh.
And then we also wanted to do advertising for the man and the woman on the street. Mm-hmm. So the Joe man, the little icon.
Yes.
That was symbolizing our vision of we want to do advertising for the man and the woman on the street. We were bought within the first 2 years, 3 years.
Yes.
By
an American company. Yeah.
And they promised us they're going to roll out takeaway all over the world. So we didn't do it for money. We did it for the stream of takeaway advertising.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah. So 3 years into your business, 2 to 3 years into your business, you decide to sell to an American company. And it didn't really work out, quite well for you guys. And what I'd like to know is just your advice to entrepreneurs about collaboration, right? Whether you are bringing in new partners, whether you are selling, parts of your business. What did you learn from that experience?
So it was one of the most valuable lessons Because it also depends on what you build. That's why I'm so passionate about purpose for business. Because otherwise, what are you building a business for? Are you building just to make money? Are you building just to sell it? Like, I think there's different ways for different people. And in this globalized corporate world, there's so many different options to people. By and large, it's all linked to who can make the most money. That's just the way I see it. And for me, I'm very interested in business sustainability. So the average lifespan of Western businesses today is 17 years. That's the average lifespan of businesses, 17 years. It used to be 60 years. In fact, I think it was closer to 70 years. So 100 years ago, the average Western business lived for 70 years. 60, 70 years, now it's 15 to 17 years. So businesses are not sustainable. But you look towards Japan, the East, then they've got thousands of businesses that's more than 100 years, and they've got a few businesses that are older than 1,000 years. So why would you bring something into this world to bring value to the world just to sell it and then see it go out of business? Because mostly these businesses fail when the founders move on. The more middle-sized and smaller businesses. So I suppose the big thing for me has always been there, is how do you build a sustainable business? How do you build a long-term business?
Yes.
And I've completely forgotten the question.
No, yes. That's okay. The question was that what did you learn from that experience of bringing in partners? And also because of the fact that experience, the first time, it did not work out quite well for you. So what didn't happen? What should have been done?
So I think, and this is the gift that came out of it, because that partnership was the beginning of bankruptcy. Took 8 years.
Yes.
But the business was like this, partnership, and it declined from there over a period of 8-9 years to total bankruptcy and restart. So the lessons, if I have to think, what are the main lessons that I learned out of that? Number one, a business does not exist to make money. It doesn't. And when you go after growing your business with the intention of making money, end result, bankruptcy. So that was the most powerful lesson, because all that our international partner was interested in was return on investment. We've paid you X, we want to make back 3 times X. So now all everyone's focusing on is how much money can we make? We're not focusing on, are people happy? We're not focusing on, is our product amazing? We are not focusing on, are we servicing our client to the best of our ability? We are not focusing on, are our clients happy? We're only focusing on serving ourselves with money. Equals bankruptcy.
Yes.
That's the number one.
And was that part of the push from, like, obviously because now you've sold, and when people buy, they buy with the intention of, we are buying this because it's going to make money for us?
Yes. Because they're going to pay you $1 million.
Yes.
They can invest that $1 million in the New York Stock Exchange.
Yes.
And they can make like 10, 12, 14, 16% return per year.
They're
paying $1 million for your business because they want to make 18, 20, 25% return. Back then. Nowadays you struggle to make 8.
Yes.
But that's what they do. That's the capitalistic approach. I'm putting money into this business not because I've got a good heart and I see an opportunity to do something incredible that changes the world. I want to make a return on my money. So all that the meetings are, the monthly or every second month meetings are about, are just tracking your financial performance. It's the only thing we measure. We don't measure the growth of our people. We don't measure, is our product improving? We never start our year, I'm not saying us, but in general, business. You make, let's say your revenue is 50 million in this year, you get to the end of the year, next year you go, I'm going to make 55 million next year. But you don't go, well, I want to make 10% more money, but how do I improve my value by 10%? We don't start by saying, how do I make my product 10% better? Apple does it, or they used to when Steve Jobs was there. All they're obsessed about is how do we make our product more valuable? How do we make our product astonishingly great? That's all they're focused on. That CEO you never saw him speaking about the money.
Yes.
The rest of the world operates very much on capital.
So a couple of years later, now as a business, you have new partners in the business, right? You went through that experience, and at some point, I would assume that when you restarted the business, you were the two shareholders, right, between you and Gareth, and then you started selling again. So what was the intention now, the second time around, and what was different with these partners compared to the first one? What is the difference?
So massive difference is the majority of these partners are actually people that work in our business that's been with us for 15, now 18 years. So when we brought our partners into partnership, equity partnership, they were already with us for 14 years. So these were people that worked with us, helped us rebuild this business from bankruptcy in 2009 over the years, and we felt a need to reward them and to bring them into the business. And the business was very valuable at that stage, so we had to, in order to finance it, we had to bring an external shareholder in, 34% shareholder, but it's a minority shareholder. So when you still have a majority of the business, you can still make the decisions. The problem with our relationship years ago, we sold 100%.
You sold 100%. So all the decisions, you were stripped of making any decisions.
So you look at, and this is under correction. I'm just making an assumption. Or not, I remember hearing it. I don't know how true it is. But for instance, if you look at Natasha's business, if I remember correctly, in order for her to roll out her concept, she needed an investor. And she did sell a portion of her business to raise that capital. And now we've got Tasha's all over South Africa. Same standard wherever you go.
Yes.
But I do believe she kept the majority. I do believe. I could be wrong.
Yes.
But I would say, if you want to remain in charge of your own destiny and you need to raise capital, don't ever sell more than 49%.
Okay, that's valuable, insight. Yeah. So transitioning now from going out of bankruptcy, I guess, you speak about how, there was you sold and then there was like that 8 to 9 year decline that led all the way to bankruptcy. And I would say that at that lowest point, there was an awakening, right? That happened, if I were to put it that way. So what I'd like to know is, what did you discover at that point, and what changes did you make, first of all, personally? And how did those translate into your entrepreneurial journey?
Brilliant. So Carl Jung famously said, in order to have a breakthrough in consciousness, you have to have a breakdown. Sounds quite hectic. Now suddenly if I want to become more...
It sounds brutal.
No, it sounds so brutal, and it is brutal. R.D. Lang, he was another psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, I'm not sure. No, Carl was a psychiatrist. He had the exact similar view. This idea of, as a human, you have to break down in order to break through and become more aware of your human beingness. Because we all go, I'm human, I make mistakes, I'm only human. We never interrogate this idea of we are human beings. And to discover this insight, mostly, you have to go through breakdown, either divorce or a bad accident or losing a child, or, which, God forbid, the worst thing that can happen to anyone, I believe, or bankruptcy, like so many, but the real breakdown. Now that sounds, as you said brutal. Easy. Terrible to think that you have to go through that, but we live so asleep that we just can't fathom going there without something hectic. So you need that. Even in gaming, if you look at gamers, to make it more palatable, if you want to improve in gaming, you have to go through multiple breakdowns. You have to fail so badly in the game that you're playing in level 1 to learn from that mistake to go to level 2. Or even the way children learn, which is at the cellular level, you say the plate's hot, don't touch it. They don't listen. And then they touch the plate, then they burn. Then they learn it's hot through the cells. So when you have breakdowns, you learn through your cells. And in gaming, I mean, it's so simulated when my son plays, what's this game he plays? Fortnite.
Yes, Fortnite. Yeah.
And he's like sweats. They're so in it. So they really experience breakdowns to up their level of play.
Yeah.
Now life is just a game.
Yeah. And what did your breakdown teach you?
Well, the breakdown was bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And the breakdown was also at that stage, relationship breakdown with my wife, financial breakdown on a personal level. Because remember, when you grow up relatively poor,
yes.
you want to be rich.
Yeah.
And when you work yourself to death from the age of 12 to at 38 have nothing, that's pretty severe.
Yeah.
So in essence, before the breakdown, the business, my life, because my life is linked to the business, was probably growing at like 5% year on year.
Yeah.
Then it declined into breakdown.
Yeah.
And post the breakthrough, discovering this insight that I have a human name, Pepe, but I've got a being name that when I unpacked it, it gave me a strategy for my life. My life went like 50% growth year on year compound.
Okay.
And I suppose if you ask what were the things that I implemented instantly.
Yeah.
So now this is not advice to anyone because everything is personal. We're all on our own journeys.
Yes.
So don't say this is what you have to, this is what I had to do.
Yeah.
Stop drinking alcohol. Instantly I stopped smoking. So those two things I immediately deemed was not good for me. I started working on my internal narrative because we all have very, very negative narratives about ourselves in our heads.
Yes.
I'm not good enough. I'm useless.
Yeah. How do you fix that internal narrative though? Yeah. Especially when you've grown up in that type of environment that you grew up in, right? I would imagine that has a big impact on how you see yourself.
Yeah.
And to shake that off, even in your adulthood.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
100%.
quite
and a big
thing.
And a big thing in our country. I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter.
Yes.
So I suffered from I'm not good enough and I'm an imposter when I was already quite a highly ranked creative in this industry. So no matter what I did through achievement, those things stuck. So you're right. How do you fix that? So such a good question. The challenge with inner work, the first thing is it takes a lot of bravery, and most people would just go like, okay, I just don't want to think about it. I'd rather just have another drink and enjoy my life and have another party.
Yes.
So it takes huge courage to step within yourself and start dealing with your inner trauma. But the first step is to become conscious of your incompetence, because we all think we're highly competent. So there I was working hard. I was really good at what I did. I was really, really good. I was good at art school. I was first in my class 3 years in a row. When I started working for other people in the ad industry, I was top of the industry every year. I was really, really good at what I did. Didn't make me feel better. And I wasn't that competent because I was wasting a lot of time on putting my energy into things that didn't serve me. So I'm not saying I don't party today. We have spectacular parties here. I just don't drink.
Yes.
So for me, it didn't serve my energy and the way I approach life. But my first step, I had to become conscious of incompetence. I thought my relationship, if anyone said, what's your relationship with your wife? I would have said 8 out of 10. It wasn't even 1 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Because I became conscious of my incompetence. So once you actually start really looking at yourself and really be brutally honest in a loving and kind way. So it's somewhere here it says loving, honest is the path to greatness.
Yeah.
So when you're lovingly honest with yourself and just look at yourself, you go, in this area of my life, I'm not. So you have to become conscious of your incompetence.
Yeah.
And only then can you start taking steps to becoming competent.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time. It takes a little long. It's an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
Okay, so you found, in the midst of the struggle, the breakdown, you'd say your purpose in life, right? So how does that then start to impact your new journey in a way as an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
And how do you implement that purpose-driven entrepreneurship into rebuilding Joe Public? Because you guys were building technically from scratch in a way. Yeah.
100%. It's fascinating. Brilliant question, because that's what made it so phenomenal. So I had this breakdown. I discovered my personal purpose, which was a new idea back then, can remember purpose in the business world only became into everyone's consciousness through Simon Sinek in 2010.
Yes.
This happened to me in 2006.
Oh, wow.
4 years prior. So now I've got, then through making instant changes in my life and then working through, starting to do inner work, but a lot of inner work, I saw the shift in my life. Not financially at first, but I saw it I had a little CSI that was raising 10,000 Rand a year for AIDS orphans, which I did purely to look good. I didn't do it because I cared about children. I did it to look good. It was completely self-serve. People would go, oh, he's so amazing. Look what he's doing for little AIDS orphans. I didn't care about the AIDS orphans. I cared about feeling better myself. That was pre-purpose. Finding my purpose, the next year we raised 110,000. The following year, 1.5 million.
Wow.
So exponential capital coming into just through changing my intention, just through going more into serving others.
Yes.
So going from scarcity in 2 cities you can live in, scarcity or generosity, going from self-serving scarcity to being more generous, instantly, times 10 times 10. It's 100 times increase within 2 years.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I lost 19 kilograms of weight. I'm naturally skinny. I wasn't then. I was weighing like 92 kilograms. My relationship really with my wife went to another level.
Yeah.
And it recovered.
Yeah.
I had a child.
Yeah.
So we were at that stage together for like 25 years. We didn't have a child. So now we had a child for the first time in our lives. And then if anyone came to me now and said, I'll give you $1 billion for your child, I won't.
Yeah.
So technically I'm a billionaire.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about it, we don't think about these things.
Yeah.
You know? Our parents are all stressed about money. But if you ask them how much are you worth, billions.
Yeah.
So we look at life wrong. So I saw all these things happening on a personal level.
Yeah.
And I read an article by Jane Goodall. And Jane Goodall said, just like monkeys, just like humans are human beings, monkeys are monkey beings.
Yeah.
And in that instant, I thought, I wonder if a business is a business being. So, because my relationship with this business has always been similar to that with my own child. So my child's flesh and bone, this is bricks and mortar, but the emotional connection is very similar. I'm much more concerned with the safety of my child, but on a general level, I've got a very similar human emotional connection. This business feels like my child feels like a child. So I was like, okay, my child is a human being. The bricks and mortar must also be a business being. And that was quite a revolutionary thought. That was 2009, 3 years after my own shift. We went into bankruptcy, not technically, but just at the doors.
Yeah.
And I went like intuitively, we're going to build this business. And I brought that thinking. And my partner completely supported me. And at that stage, we already had 2 other partners, Lisa and Laurent. So the 4 of us, I constructed this process of finding what is at the heart of the business.
Yes.
Because the electric field around our brains and the power of that field, let's put it this way, there's a field around our brain and there's a field around our heart. The heart's field is 100 times more powerful than the brain's field.
Yeah.
So for me, it indicates that this part of us, everything heart, gut, feelings, is our real power, but we all get stuck here. Even in business, we all get stuck here. The numbers, we're not here. We started this business on a feeling. I started my relationship with my wife on a feeling. They're the 2 most powerful relationships in my life. I didn't start them thinking, let me do analysis, let me do a business plan. So we don't start like that. We start with a feeling.
Yes.
And my sense was, if we could focus, because the human name is Joe Public, but what's the being name?
Yes.
And I went on a journey with our 30 people back then to find what's the reason for being of this business.
Yes.
And that to me is the silver bullet of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Because once we discovered that one word, Joe human, being word, growth,
Yes, and that's your being word. Growth is your being word. Yeah.
I would think it's creativity.
Yeah.
Because the creative industry. Just like you'd think sorbet as a business would be beauty.
Yeah.
But if you go and scratch a bit deeper, you might find that people come there to look for self-confidence. And when they leave all polished up and treated and pampered, they feel good about themselves. So maybe their purpose is confidence. And that's a far more noble purpose than just beauty, which is skin deep. So that is an approach, or a tree in English, using English as our way of communicating now, because I think it will work on any language the same.
Yes.
Tree is the human word we give a tree.
Yes.
But its reason for being is life, because it makes oxygen.
Yes.
Or it could be shelter.
Yes.
And if we had to teach people that depth to what that tree is, people less likely to chop it down and make a fire out of it. So this approach to business, I would say, revolutionized this business, because suddenly it had a strategy.
Yes.
Because once we said, okay, what's the meaning of growth? Because now you can't just go, my purpose is this word.
Yes.
And think it's going to solve everything.
Yeah.
It's not strategic.
Yes.
It has to mean something.
Yeah.
So you have to go, but you have to find the word first before you can actually work on the meaning.
On the meaning.
You have to find your word first. It's like the embryo and the human being. The human being has all the impact, but without the embryo, you're nothing.
Yeah.
So the word's the embryo. The meaning of the word becomes the impact. So the word was growth. It's on the wall. And the meaning of the word is to serve the growth of our people, our clients, and our country. That was the most important, that was the intention. So before 2008, our intention was to make money. That was the unconscious intention, to make money. Through the power of creativity.
Yes.
So how we make the money will always be through the power of creativity. We always knew that part of the equation, but the intention was to make money.
Yeah.
And it led to bankruptcy.
Yeah.
When we shifted the intent, and it's self-serving, make money, self-serving. But when it became to serve the growth of our people, our clients, and our country through the power of creativity, growth.
Then it went
growth. So when we went into lockdown, me and Gareth weren't taking salaries. When the president says, let's cut our salaries, we were feeding up to 60,000 people. We were donating with much capital to people who needed food. We decided we don't have to make profit. It cost us a fortune. We decided to not cut any salaries, not cut heads, not make profit, because everything was linked to serving the growth of our people, our clients, and our country.
Yeah.
So everything in this business operates around those three pillars.
Yeah.
And I think that is what will set us apart in the long term.
Yeah.
Not that far set apart yet, but that's our journey.
How do you implement purpose? You know, when you found, it's, I would say, such a strong, deep, hearty is the word I'm looking for, purpose in business. You know, it's one thing agreeing about that as the founders and as the people at the top, right? How do you implement that to filter through the rest of the company? And I'd just like to know a little bit, what were the challenges? What are some of the success stories that you've had? What has the impact been in terms of like your clients and your output and your product? Yeah.
So remember, and that's an excellent question. This is what I did my doctoral thesis on. Because the Achilles heel of the human species is lack of implementation. You go like, I want to lose weight. Okay, cool. Then you have to eat better and go to gym every day. You go and see how many people can implement that as a strategy. Just on that level, like a basic thing everyone's looking for. Or it says smoking kills on my pack of cigarettes every time I take a cigarette out. 18 years, every time I... Knowledge. Knowledge is not power. You know, there's the knowledge, smoking kills.
Yes.
The power is implementing the knowledge. But I didn't for 18 years. I had to have a huge shift to actually go, okay, this stuff is, I'm committing suicide, basically. So what's going on there? So implementation it's 93% of strategies fail on implementation. So only 7 in 100 gets implemented. And purpose is more difficult than just the general strategy. So I would say it will be, I roughly worked it out to be 1 in 2,500. And hopefully this business will be 1 in 2,500 that get it right. 15 years later, we probably implement our purpose is implemented less than 10%, which is quite and if my partners hear me say this, they'll go like, why are you so negative? No, that's the truth.
You're being realistic, yeah.
Think about it. So to serve the growth of our people, our clients, and our country through the power of creativity. So all we have to do is measure how much powerful creativity we deliver out of 100, and that will directly show you how much we're living our intention. So the implementation is the biggest challenge. But what we've done over the years, we've got a leadership journey for our leaders, but it's also going down into the business to make everyone more conscious of potentially their own purposes.
Okay.
Because a company can only ever be as conscious as the leaders. So you can't have a conscious, purpose-driven organization.
Yes.
If every single one of your executives are not conscious, purpose-driven individuals, and we're all on our own journeys. And then from there, if you don't work to get all your people, because if you don't experience it on a personal level, then it all just looks like empty words on the walls. But I can tell you, when Accenture came to buy this business in 2020, I was phoned directly by Accenture's CEO that said, we want to buy Joe Public. We had one board meeting and one person asked the question, and it was quite a big deal. One person said, but will this serve the growth of our country? And that was the last words that were said on it, because we declined it. And they went and bought King James, our biggest competitor, locally owned 100%.
Yes.
It's now owned 100% by America.
Yes.
And they're not even called King James anymore. So that's the power of purpose. It strategically made us make an instant decision for one of the toughest no's. And looking back 3 years later, 4 years later, we're like, that's probably the best thing we could have ever done for serving the growth of our people, including our own, and our clients, and our country. So you'll see if you walk through the business, we've got lots of tricks, in communications. It's on the walls, it's on the boardrooms. That is called the growth boardroom. There's a tree. So the purpose informed what the table looks like.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Repurpose growth. So you'll see growth is everywhere in the DNA. We speak to it all the time.
Yeah.
Even with us communicating it to this level, there's massive room for improvement. That's why we're so excited about our future. Because remember, we're only 28.
Yes.
It's like a young person not even going into their 30s yet. And you only start stretching your real muscle as a business person when you reach your 40s and your 50s.
Yes.
So businesses that get into their 40s and 50s, imagine the impact.
Yeah.
So this business, 240 people, in the next 20, 30 years, could be 10,000.
Yeah.
So there's a massive journey ahead.
So Joe Public is 28 years old. Our democracy is 30 years old. Yeah. And as part of like your vision and your mission statement, right, you speak about country, and you guys do have obviously a very obvious passion, for country. How does the growth of Joe Public parallels the growth of our democracy?
So there's huge confusion, vision, mission.
Yes.
And business schools, MBAs teach us business start with a vision.
Yes.
I don't agree. The ground zero, the foundation of any great business interested in sustainability is purpose. That's the build. That's where you come from. That's what you stand for. That's at your heart of your business, is purpose. And I found that if you just want to start with vision in the absence of purpose, your vision will always be self-serving. So our purpose inspired our vision. So our purpose of serving the growth of our people, our clients, and our country through the power of creativity inspired our vision. And our vision is to be a shining example.
Yeah.
So as a business, we want to be a shining example in terms of growing people, diversity and inclusion.
Yes.
Conscious leadership, and world-class product and service. Just to be clear on that. In terms of, I've never thought of that. You've given me, that's why I always love these, because there's so much you get back because you don't know what you get asked. But this idea, yes, we were born 3 years after the turn of this country.
You're the little brother, little sister.
Wholly committed to this country. I think before we can even point finger, because there's a lot that went right, but there's a hell of a lot that went wrong.
Yes.
With our country.
Yes.
And we're at another turning point now, and we will see if the right decisions get made in terms of the right coalition to take this country.
Yes.
But we do treat Joe like our own country. And I think we have a lot more work to do here before we can actually point fingers. But we do stand for growing people, which I think is lacking in our country. I don't think there's enough effort done to grow people. Really not. I work in education on the side as a side hustle. I know the numbers. I know the stats. I did my master's on education.
Yeah.
And there's something going severely wrong. So, but what can we do within our country called Joe Public to make that better? Diversity and inclusion. I don't know if we're pushing it to the level that we should as a country. I think there's a lot of effort there for sure. I don't think we are mirroring it enough with meritocracy. And I think that could leave people feeling not good enough. I'm a huge supporter of transformation. I'm not sure it's implemented in the right way. Yeah, we are super diverse and super inclusive with lots more work to do. So I think we try and almost create our vision for what this country could be within what we can control.
Yes.
Without being overly critical about the challenges. We're only running a business of 250 people. Government's running a business of 60 million people.
Yes.
It's slightly more complex.
Yes.
And hence, to remain conscious, not to be too critical without understanding enough, just listening to the news. But yeah, that's our mission. It's actually amazing to look at the parallel. We are very much the little brother
Yeah.
to the country.
To the country. Absolutely. Yeah. And very commitment.
Yeah, there's a little sign there that says, never ever sell our soul again. We will not sell this business ever again.
So now we are in this pivotal moment, right, in the world. And I think that the creative industry is probably one of the industries that are feeling the first impact publicly, right, when it comes to AI and digital, right, and the rise of digital. So where do you see the creative industries, just in your own way, the creative industry going in South Africa? What is that impact going to be on the creative economy when it comes to AI? And are there any things that you are looking at and going, maybe this is the direction that the creative industry is supposed to be going?
So we use AI all the time now in this business.
Yeah.
It's a huge saver of energy and time on menial tasks. No doubt. No doubt. If you look at our industry in South Africa, not even being dramatic factually, I would say 1% of what the 70 billion rand industry called advertising in South Africa does, 1% is worth writing home about.
Yeah.
1% is decent advertising. 1% is advertising that connects to people and actually sells product. 99% is utter substandard creativity. And if you're in the business of making that your work, then you must start becoming very nervous.
Yeah.
Because AI will take those jobs away. So all we can do to ensure that AI just remains a tool for menial tasks is to improve our creativity every single day. Because AI doesn't have a heart, it doesn't have emotions, it doesn't have intuition, it doesn't have all these incredible capabilities that we as human beings have, but we waste that potential by forming part of a system that has substandard output. So the ongoing commitment of our business, because our why, our intention is beautiful and noble, the growth of people, clients, country. But how we do it is the power of creativity. So it's our duty as leaders and as people within this business to ensure every job becomes better than the previous job.
Okay.
And that's going to keep us in business, and that's going to keep AI at bay.
Yeah. So in a way, it's like you saying you stay a step ahead, I guess, of what AI, can steps 10 steps ahead. 10 steps ahead. Yeah.
Even without purpose, I would say the number one fundamental insight on a sustainable entrepreneurial business is find out what is your purpose, your greater reason for being beyond product and service and money.
Yeah.
But second to that, make sure your product and service is excellent.
Yeah.
Outstanding, better than anyone in your field.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you're number 2, number 3, strive to be number 1.
Yeah.
That's how you stay ahead.
Yeah.
That's how you create impact. But a lot of people prefer to cut corners or do it the easy way, not fight with my client, keep my client happy by giving an average. No, fight with your client. Give them your best. I mean, if Steve Jobs researched his phone, you would never had a phone with one button when the one button phone came.
Yes.
If you had to do research to ask the consumer what they want, they would have said no.
Yeah, I need my buttons. I'm going to work the phone at the buttons.
Ask people, you gave them because they didn't know what they want.
Yeah.
And we need to behave in all industries like that.
Yeah.
We are too easy to... Seems like doctors and lawyers are the only people that are listened to. Medical doctors.
Yes.
You don't tell them how to operate on your brain.
Yes. Yes.
But in other industries, everyone gives input.
Input on that.
I don't find it professional.
Yeah.
So I think that to me, and I think AI will continue just to show us how much value it can add by taking care of the little things.
Okay.
I mean, we are now creating full-blown photographs out of AI, which is actually not great for the creative industry in terms of photographers.
Yes.
But then I have to ask how many of those photographers are pushing themselves to the level. And then we've got one photographer that's actually using AI to do his photography.
Yeah.
So he's already embraced it. So then that person becomes...
And using it as a tool. Do you think government policy can play a role probably in protecting... Should we be going that route, right, of implementing policy to protect the creatives?
No.
Or you don't think...
You know why? We said, geez, that's going to be a tricky one to answer.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what we do. We go the easy way. No, go the hard way. Become more creative. Because those are the people that will bring the value. They will survive. Not because we're too lazy to do that. We rather create a policy that protects us. Like a lion. If you watch, did you ever go to the bush?
Once in a while. Yeah.
When you watch lions.
Yeah.
When lions hunt, they are focused. And they never... I heard this from a guy years ago. He told me the story. Can't remember his name right now. Ian. I can't remember Ian's surname. He was a game warden that became a very famous global keynote speaker. And he speaks to the way the lions hunt. And when they hunt, say there's 6 lionesses hunting, he said the one in the back is not doing the nails, and second in the back are playing Tetris, and third from the back is watching like sunset.
Yeah.
He says they all are focused. And then you ask, why are they focused? Because if they don't focus, they don't eat and they die.
Yeah.
But we, in our protected environments of working, whether we work 10%, 20, 50, or 80, or 100%, we get paid the same. So we don't remunerate on our output. We just agree on a number. The company will pay you 100% of that number, irrespective of whether you really focus to the level that lioness focuses. And I think these kind of systems has made us complacent and just give enough. And that's why we always want more for less.
Yeah.
And life doesn't work like that. Life gives you what you put in.
Yeah.
Everyone complain about, I don't get enough, give more. If the client pays you 1 rand, give them 10 rand of value.
Yeah.
And that's what we are very 1 rand for 1 rand focused.
Yes.
And it's not sustainable.
And it's not sustainable.
Not at all.
Sure. Okay, so now education, right? You have said that you never saw yourself as academic, right? As a child. Despite the fact that you're being raised by a teacher, she probably was forcing education down your throat, having your mom being a teacher. And then at some point in your life, you decide, I'm going to business school. What inspired that decision? And also I'm asking because you were already successful, right? You were already successful. And in this country, especially, education can really be viewed as the stepping stone to success. So when you view yourself as, I'm not academic and I've already managed to reach success, without really investing a lot of time in academics, then why go back to school?
So let's quickly, I'm going to answer one thing, because you keep on saying successful. I'm not successful, because depends on how you look at success.
Yeah.
Well, I'm successful to a certain level. So if I look at the 8 forms of wealth, because success, we assume and go big building, nice car, successful, materialism.
Yeah.
But if you look at the 8 forms of wealth, number 1 is spiritual wealth. Knowing your purpose. There I am successful. Number 2 is health. There I would say I'm about 60% of where I want to be. I'm not healthy enough. I'm not fit enough.
Yeah.
I'm sort of trying to figure out what food's best for me. So the health level, I'm like high up, although there's always so much work to do. So I'm just saying there's always dimensions to success. And when I look at all of them, there's so much room for growth. Number 3 is family. I've got so much room for growth as a husband, as a father, as a brother, as a son. I've got so much room for growth. So I'm probably more successful than most because I'm more aware of my gaps. But I just see this room for growth. My craft, I just recently discovered I'm not practicing enough. I'm very interested in advertising, but I'm not. So I've got on a whole nother level I've moved up another level. Money, yes, there I'm successful, but depends on what you want to do with money. I want to create much more impact. I need much more money. I've got to make money for myself. I can't build a school if I want to. I'd love to be in that position. I don't want to always ask other people to donate money for my non-profit. I'd love to take my own money and do stuff. So I want to make much more money for other means. My circle of influence is definitely growing. It's unbelievable the people that surround me at the moment. And then adventure. I'm going on a holiday now with my family. I'm not doing enough there. And giving back, I can always give more. I'm just saying success is got many dimensions.
Yeah.
And we tend to only look at 1 or 2.
Or 1 or 2 being the financial success. Yeah. So
it's important. Money makes the world go round, and they link to all those things I just mentioned. But it's a byproduct of something completely different.
Yeah.
So that was just to touch on success.
And then what did business school? What did you need to satisfy? What part?
Journey.
Yeah.
I wrote a 25-year plan in 2007 when I found my purpose. The next night I wrote a 25-year plan because I was consumed by quarter to quarter, being quarter centered, like quarter to quarter driven, 3 months. I've just come out of international mandate where every 3 months they check our numbers. Yeah. And I was like, I want to be quarter century driven. I want to think for 25 years. And at 25 years, 2032, I want to think for the next 25 years.
Yes.
And I wrote, part of my plan was in 2018, I will take a significant step towards my vision. And in 2018 is when I started studying.
Yeah.
But the only reason why I went on an academic reason in the moment, it was preordained that I'm going to do something. It wasn't academia, wasn't clear. I made a joke. I spoke to 300 micro-entrepreneurs for SA breweries at Gallagher Estate.
Yes.
And when I arrived, I could choose Mr., Mrs. or Doctor. And I chose Doctor. It's in my office. I've got the tag that says Doctor.
Yeah, and this was way before you were...
Way before.
Yeah.
They introduced me as Dr. Pepe Marais. And the 300 people kind of like...
Oh, wow.
Definitely. I'm not even assuming it. So they did that. And then 20 minutes in, when I told them, this is what I did, I made a joke. Quite a few of them kind of lost interest.
Wow.
So I realized in the moment, the clout, our people, like if I have a financial advisor and he drives a Porsche, I'm gonna assume he's a better financial advisor.
Yes, he's gonna create the same wealth for you.
Well, then if he finds you the Tata. So I realized in the moment that this thing of Doctor is an amazing tool to get credibility. And if I want to be credible, speaking about organizational purpose and business purpose, then I have to retool myself and become an expert in that field to the level that I am seen as a doctor and eventually professor in terms of organizational purpose. And then I went on this whole journey, and I didn't know that I had to get, got a thing called Record of Prior Learning, RPL.
Yes, RPL, yeah.
You get only one. By law, you can only get one level for that. And I had a diploma in graphic design.
Yes.
I got my one level, then I had to do postgraduate, then a master's.
Yes.
Then a doctorate.
Yeah.
It took me 6 years.
Yeah.
Of my life.
Wow.
Thousands of hours.
Yeah.
No weekends. Every morning at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was intense. Yeah. My family and their support to me has been incredible, but here I am.
And a big congratulations for that. It's quite an achievement. I have studied as far as my MBA. I don't know if I want to do a doctorate. That research left me scarred. I'm still recovering from the MBA research. Yeah. I'm still recovering. Trying to recover. Me too.
I burst out.
Me too. I've had many moments where I just cried and I would say, I don't think I can do this. I don't know if I can carry on. But I'd push myself, past that because I'd already started and I'm not a quitter. That's basically, at the end, the reason why, I finished. And I just want to ask that, looking back, right, is 12-year-old Pepe proud of this grown-up version of Pepe right now?
So I'm going to answer that differently because I find the assumption that 12-year-old Pepe is proud. It is a little bit an arrogance for me. I think there's too much to do.
Yeah.
To rest on my laurels. And a lot of people always go, nothing's ever good enough. And I'm like, no, you missed the point. When you start realizing your potential as a human being, it's like this. No matter how much you do every year, you see you can do more. And life becomes very exciting. I can tell you outright, I'm very proud of 12-year-old Pepe.
Aha. Okay. I like
because
that.
Looking back,
yeah,
I've got great perspective. I did a lot of NLP work, neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
Which is a process that helps you process your childhood trauma. Fascinating. One of the best things you can do for yourself. NLP. Magnificent. Did 4 years of it through lockdown. And looking back at some of the childhood traumatic events, I realized how incredibly strong that child was. And that strength is obviously within me.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave me immense pride to see what I assumed were moments where this child must have been absolutely, because in the adult brain makes up stories.
Uh-huh.
But when I used NLP to go back to those events, I saw how resilient this little bugger was. There were some instances where he just went these adults are cooked. But he wasn't overwhelmed or freaked out. He was completely solid looking at these mad adults.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm immensely proud of that because that's now in me. Where I'm starting to go, okay, I must watch my behavior as an adult because we behave like children sometimes as adults, very immature, myself included. And being aware of that, if I can say what I'm proud of is my ability to see instantly when I do something wrong, learn, course correct, move forward. And that makes life great.
Okay, this has been incredible. I wish we could talk on and on and on and on, and you've given us, so much. One of the most fascinating things for me, about you and why I wanted to interview you was I've watched stuff, right, that, you've done and you've put online, all of your TED Talks and stuff. And for me, it's always fascinating to see your vulnerability, just from the standpoint of you're this white, tall Afrikaans man. And that, alongside vulnerability, is a very strange thing. And it's very fascinating to me that, you've been as vulnerable as you are, and actually quite refreshing. So I wanted to interview you mainly. That's one of the reasons. But also secondly, I love your humility, right? I came into this knowing that I'm not nervous because I know that I'm going to talk to someone who is going to be just genuinely interested to speak. And you are genuinely humble. That's one of just the consistent things about you with the few people that I told, because I was excited to tell someone, I'm like, I'm going to do an interview with this guy. And they were like, oh, he's the most humble person ever. So just thank you for that. Thank you for those two things, for your vulnerability and for your humility and making it easy for us to access you.
Thank you. Thanks for that. That's amazing.
Yes.
So that makes me feel really warm. and very appreciative. And thanks for the interview. You do that exceptionally well, because I can't believe we sat here for an hour and a half. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Brilliant.